How many of you read the Bible? How many of you read Deuteronomy? A few. There's a verse in Deuteronomy I wanted to start with. It's remember how the Lord your God led you all the way. Most people would say the most important word there is God. But I know that God wanted us to think about that he's going to take us all the way to the end. We're not at the end yet. Although I'm 77, I'm getting closer. I wanted to have you think about today a Bible verse that I have in the back of my van. And I would like you to say this with me. Okay? Always pray and never give up. That's Luke 18:1. Yes, that's my philosophy, but it's also God's word. And hopefully it has an effect on people that see that in the back of my van. And I'm sure we can think about what God says. Sometimes we leave this building, we may forget. And when we're young, like, I should tell you that the first time I heard those words, never give up, was from my dad. I had struck out in a baseball game. And walking home, he said, John, you're going to strike out in life. I just want you to remember to never give up. So I was 10. Now, how many people are 10 or under here? 1, 2, anybody else? 3, 4, 5? Okay. But whether you're 10 and under, or maybe a little bit over 10, sometimes you forget. There are a lot of reasons we forget. Being old is one of them. Forgetting passwords, names of people, even where I park my van. There's only so much that I can fit in my brain. As one of my granddaughters says, not Madison, but her name is Belle, says, Grandpa, maybe you should have left that in your brain. But we often need reminders to remember God's word or words of wisdom from people that we respect. We need also especially to remember what God has done for us. I want you to take just a moment and think about what's the most important thing that God has done for you. I know Jesus died on the cross for something personally that he's done in your life, some major act that happened that God gave you. Take just a minute and think about that and thank him for that. As you remembered whatever that was, I hope you'll think about throughout today and thank God for him bringing that particular action and that maybe miracle in your life. The Israelites had a similar tendency. As many of the miracles they have, they grumbled about what they had to eat. Well, God gave them manna, didn't he? For 40 years, they wandered, and their clothes didn't wear out. I mean, it was like having a new pair of sneakers every day, right? And they also were given water that came out of a rock. God's faithfulness continues through all generations. That's Psalm 100, verse 5. Whenever we find ourselves forgetting, we can think about the ways he's answered our prayers. And I want to share one personal event in my life, thinking about how good God has been to our family. 15 years ago, Mary was pregnant in the hospital. She'd had 2 miscarriages, and she called me as I came out of church. And she said, "Dad, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say goodbye to my 3rd child." I said, "Mary, what's wrong?" She said, "Well, Joel's platelet count has dropped about 1,000. I think 12,000 was what was normal, so I could see why she thought that." She said, "Would you get Pastor Adam Z to come baptize him in the hospital?" So I had my Bible with me. We went to Elmbrook Hospital where he was. And God interrupted that baptism. And he said, "John, I want you to share Psalm 71 with Mary and Ed." And so I did that. Psalm 71 verse 6 says, "From birth I have relied on you. You brought me forth from my mother's womb. I will ever praise you." Verse 16 says, "O sovereign Lord, these are your mighty acts." And verse 18, "When I'm old and gray," this was Joel talking, "I will tell the next generation of the power that you have." We think about the power that God has, the mighty acts that he supplies, the never give up. The reason we never give up because we can pray and we can go to the throne of God to ask God for his provisions. So thank you for letting me share that personal story with you, and I hope you'll remember that God will lead you all the way.